The familiar crack of AK-47 fire echoes through her dreams. Sarah Miller jolts awake at 3 a.m., her sheets soaked with cold sweat. In the darkness of Fort Benning's recruit barracks, she moves silently to the cramped bathroom. Her hands work with practiced precision, unwrapping old bandages from her left shoulder. The wound beneath has healed into a jagged scar, but phantom pain still pulses through the tissue. She reaches for fresh medical tape, carefully covering the distinctive tattoo that spans her shoulder blade. Ranger wings with the serial number 742 etched beneath in military script. A marking that would mean nothing to most, everything to those who know. Her dog tags slip from the sink's edge, clattering against the concrete floor. The sound reverberates like gunfire in the pre-dawn silence. Welcome to our channel, Military, Family, and Patriots. Today's story reveals the ultimate truth about courage and justice within our armed forces. If you've served or have loved ones in uniform, please like and subscribe to support stories honoring our silent heroes. Your service matters, and these stories celebrate the warriors who protect our freedoms. Thank you for your dedication. The alarm blares at 4:30 a.m. sharp, but Sarah has already been up for 90 minutes. She sits on her bunk, fully dressed in standard-issue PT gear, watching the other recruits stumble from their beds. At 35, she's the oldest in Charlie Company by at least a decade. The others call her Grandma when they think she can't hear. She lets them believe what they want. It's easier than explaining why a woman her age would suddenly enlist. The cover story Pentagon created is simple enough. Recently divorced, starting over, patriotic duty calling. None of it true, but believable enough for those who don't look too closely. "Miller, you planning to move today? Or should I get you a wheelchair?" Drill Sergeant Deacon's voice cuts through the morning chaos like a blade. At 6'3" with arms like tree trunks, he towers over everyone, especially Sarah's 5'4" frame. His face carries the permanent scowl of someone who's forgotten how to smile. Sarah has observed him for 3 weeks now, noting patterns, documenting behaviors, filing mental reports. "Yes, Drill Sergeant." She scrambles to her feet, deliberately slower than necessary. Playing the part of the struggling older recruit has become second nature. Her muscles, honed by 12 years of special operations, ache to move with their true capability. Instead, she stumbles slightly, catches herself against the bunk frame. Deacon's eyes narrow with disgust. Pathetic. Pentagon's really lowering standards if they're taking divorced housewives now. The insult lands exactly where he intends. Several younger recruits snicker. Private Rodriguez, barely 21, shoots Sarah a sympathetic glance. He's one of the few who doesn't participate in the mockery. The company forms up outside in the humid Georgia morning. Sarah takes her position in the third row, maintaining her facade of mild incompetence. As they begin the morning run, she deliberately falls behind. Her breathing becomes labored after just half a mile. In reality, she could run marathons at this pace. Her last deployment involved 40-mile reconnaissance missions through Afghan mountains. Colonel Marcus Harrison watches from his office window overlooking the parade grounds. Sarah catches the glint of binoculars trained on their formation. She's been tracking his movements for 3 weeks. Unusual late-night visits to the motor pool, encrypted phone calls from his personal cell, meetings with civilians who have no business on a military base. The intelligence file Agent Foster provided suggested weapons trafficking. Sarah's observations confirm something bigger. "Miller, pick up the pace before I assign you to permanent kitchen duty." Deacon jogs backward beside her, his voice carrying across the formation. Sarah increases her speed marginally, still maintaining her cover. The morning PT session continues for another hour. Push-ups, where she manages only 15 instead of the 100 she could easily complete. Pull-ups, where she drops after 3 when she could do 30. By 6 a.m., the company files into the mess hall. Sarah sits alone, as usual, picking at scrambled eggs while discreetly observing. Captain Webb enters, exchanges a brief nod with Deacon. There's something in that interaction, a tension Sarah has noticed before. She makes another mental note. Foster will want these details in her next report. The day's training schedule includes hand-to-hand combat drills. Sarah's stomach tightens as they march toward the combat training area. Maintaining incompetence during physical training is one thing. Appearing helpless in combat scenarios requires a different level of deception. Her muscle memory from years of close-quarters battle training fights against every clumsy move she must make. Today, recruits, you'll learn what real combat feels like, Deacon announces, cracking his knuckles. His eyes find Sarah in the formation. Some of you clearly need more help than others. The training area consists of a sand pit surrounded by wooden barriers. Sarah recognizes the setup from Ranger School, though this version is significantly simplified. Miller, congratulations! You're today's demonstration dummy. Deacon's smile reminds her of hyenas she encountered in Somalia. All teeth, no warmth. She steps forward, forcing her shoulders to slump, projecting weakness while every instinct screams to assume a combat stance. The crowd of recruits forms a circle. Colonel Thompson has arrived, standing beside Harrison at the observation platform. Thompson's presence is unexpected. The training commander rarely observes basic recruit sessions. His weathered face carries the marks of 30 years of service. Sarah notices how his left hand unconsciously touches his chest, where she knows a photo of his daughter rests in his breast pocket. Basic takedown defense, Deacon begins, circling Sarah like a predator. When an enemy approaches from behind, he moves faster than most recruits can track. His massive arm wraps around Sarah's throat from behind. Instinct floods her system. She could break this hold 7 different ways, could have Deacon on his back in less than 2 seconds. Instead, she struggles weakly, lets out a small cry of distress. See how easy it is when you're weak? Deacon tightens his grip slightly. Not enough to truly choke, but enough to make a point. In real combat, Miller here would already be dead. He releases her with a slight shove. Sarah stumbles forward, catching herself with exaggerated difficulty. Now, a frontal assault scenario. Deacon squares up, facing her. Sometimes the enemy wants to humiliate before they kill. They might grab your gear, your weapon. His hand shoots out, grabs the collar of her PT shirt. The fabric tears with a sharp, ripping sound. Time slows to a crawl. The tear exposes her left shoulder completely. The carefully placed medical tape has shifted during the morning's exercises, peeling away at the edges. As Deacon pulls his hand back, the tape catches on his watch. It tears away completely, revealing the tattoo beneath. The ranger wings spread across her shoulder blade in stark black ink. Below them, the serial number 742 stands out clearly. But it's the additional marking that causes Colonel Thompson to step forward. A small skull with a lightning bolt through it, the unofficial insignia of Ghost Team. "Stop!" Thompson's voice carries absolute authority. Deacon freezes mid-motion. The training area falls silent. Even the Georgia insects seem to pause their buzzing. Thompson descends from the platform with purposeful strides, his eyes locked on Sarah's exposed shoulder. Everyone except Miller and Deacon. Dismissed. Now. The recruits scatter like startled birds. Only Rodriguez hesitates before being pulled away by another private. Harrison starts to follow Thompson, but receives a sharp hand gesture to stay back. Thompson circles Sarah slowly, studying the tattoo with an intensity that makes her skin crawl. 742, he says quietly. Ghost Team designation. Afghanistan, 2019 through 2021. His voice carries a strange mixture of awe and disbelief. You were at Kabul airport. Sarah remains silent, her cover thoroughly blown, but training keeping her expression neutral. Thompson continues. August 26, 2019. Hostage rescue operation, diplomatic quarter. 13-year-old American girl taken by insurgents. His voice cracks slightly. That was my daughter. The revelation hangs in the air like a physical presence. Deacon looks between them, confusion evident on his face. Harrison has moved closer, his hand unconsciously moving toward his sidearm. You're Ghost 7, Thompson states, rather than asks. The operator who went through the window first. Took 3 rounds to retrieve Emma. He points at the scar tissue visible above the tattoo. That's where the 3rd bullet hit. Sarah finally speaks, her voice dropping the hesitant tone she's maintained for 3 weeks. Colonel Thompson, I need you to listen very carefully. Her entire posture shifts, authority replacing submission. I'm here on orders from Pentagon. My name isn't Sarah Miller. She reaches into her waistband, pulls out a sealed envelope she's carried every day. Major Sarah Mitchell, Defense Criminal Investigative Service. Thompson takes the envelope with trembling hands, breaks the seal, reads the official orders inside. His face cycles through emotions, shock, understanding, then grim determination. You're investigating the weapons trafficking. It's not a question. Sir, we need to move this conversation somewhere secure. Sarah's eyes flick toward Harrison, who's now backing slowly toward the exit. Colonel Harrison needs to remain here. The base commander's expression shifts from confusion to calculation in an instant. His hand moves to his sidearm. I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but… Stand down, Harrison. Thompson's voice carries the weight of command. Deacon, secure the colonel. For a moment, nobody moves. The tension stretches like a wire about to snap. Then, Deacon does something unexpected. He smoothly draws his own sidearm, but instead of pointing it at Sarah, he aims at Harrison. ATF agent Marcus Webb. His voice loses its drill sergeant bark, replaced by professional calm. Colonel Harrison, you're under investigation for violations of the Arms Export Control Act. The revelation hits like a physical blow. Harrison's face drains of color. You son of a… He reaches for his weapon. Deacon's finger tightens on the trigger. Don't! Sarah's voice cuts through the tension. There are 30 FBI agents already on base. The warehouse is surrounded. She pulls out an encrypted phone, shows Harrison the screen displaying real-time surveillance footage. Container B4527 arrived from Baltimore 2 hours ago. We know about the 5,000 automatic weapons. We know about the cartel connections. Her voice drops to barely above a whisper. We know about all 37 officers involved. Harrison's hand freezes. His eyes dart between the 3 of them. You have no proof. His voice lacks conviction. Actually, Sarah produces a small device from her pocket. Every conversation in your office for the last 3 weeks. The meetings with Ramirez from the Sinaloa cartel. The wire transfers to offshore accounts. She steps closer. $50 million in illegal arms sales, Colonel. That's life in federal prison. Thompson stares at Harrison with undisguised disgust. 28 years we've served together. How could you? You wouldn't understand. Harrison's mask finally cracks, revealing desperate anger beneath. They promise us patriotism and honor, then pay us nothing while contractors make millions. I was tired of watching criminals get rich while soldiers die for scraps. So you became the criminal, Deacon's weapon never wavers. Real patriotic. Sarah's phone buzzes. She glances at the message from Foster. The FBI is moving in. 3 minutes until they reach this location. She focuses on Harrison. You can cooperate and maybe see daylight again before you die, or you can resist and guarantee life without parole. Harrison's shoulders slump in defeat. The facade of military bearing crumbles. I want a lawyer. His voice sounds hollow, aged beyond his 52 years. You'll get one. Sarah signals to Deacon, who produces zip-tie restraints. As Harrison is secured, Sarah turns to Thompson. Sir, I apologize for the deception. It was necessary to— You saved my daughter's life, Thompson interrupts, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. Emma still has nightmares, but she's alive because of Ghost Team. He extends his hand. I don't care if you came here undercover as a recruit or a janitor. You've saved my base from a cancer I didn't even know existed. The sound of approaching vehicles fills the air. Black SUVs converge on the training area. FBI agents in tactical gear emerge, moving with practiced efficiency. Agent Foster, a compact woman with sharp eyes, approaches the group. Major Mitchell, excellent work. Agent Webb, good to finally meet face to face. She looks at Harrison with professional detachment. Colonel Harrison, you're under arrest. As they lead Harrison away, he turns back. There are more. This goes higher than you know. His words carry the desperation of a drowning man grasping for leverage. Sarah exchanges glances with Foster. They suspected as much. The $50 million and 37 officers are just the tip of the iceberg. But for now, they've cut off one tentacle of the operation. Thompson watches the FBI convoy disappear, then turns to Sarah. What happens now? The recruits? The training schedule? I need to maintain cover for another 48 hours, Sarah explains. There are 3 more suspects we're monitoring. They don't know about Harrison's arrest yet. She looks at her torn shirt. Though I'll need a new PT uniform. Deacon laughs, the first genuine emotion she's heard from him. I've got to say, watching you pretend to be weak for 3 weeks was painful, especially knowing your real background. He shakes his head. Ghost 7. I studied your team's operations at Quantico. That Kabul extraction is taught as textbook hostile rescue. Just doing the job, Sarah deflects, uncomfortable with praise. The real challenge was running slow enough to stay behind the formation. She allows herself a small smile. My joints actually hurt from moving that slowly. Thompson's expression grows serious. There's something else. The warehouse Harrison mentioned, B7 tonight. He pauses. There's supposed to be another shipment, much bigger, military-grade explosives headed for domestic terrorists. Sarah immediately pulls out her encrypted phone, starts typing rapidly. Foster needs to know immediately. How do you know about this? I've been running my own investigation, Thompson admits. Suspected something was wrong, but couldn't prove it. When you showed up, I hoped you were here for the same reason. He produces a flash drive from his pocket. Everything I've gathered. Shipping manifests, suspicious transfers, personnel files. He hands it to Sarah. I was going to take it to CID next week, but your investigation is already ahead of mine. The implications sink in. Tonight's operation just became critical. Sarah looks at Deacon. How many agents does ATF have ready? 12 on site, 20 more within an hour's distance. Deacon's already making calculations. If we're talking military-grade explosives, we'll need EOD support. I can provide that, Thompson offers. I have teams I trust completely. Soldiers who aren't part of Harrison's network. He pauses. Major Mitchell, with your permission, I'd like to be part of tonight's operation. Sarah considers the request. Thompson's knowledge of the base and its personnel could be invaluable. Foster makes the final call, but I support it. She checks her watch. 8 hours until the scheduled delivery. We need to move fast. The morning sun has climbed higher, casting long shadows across the training ground, where just minutes ago, Sarah's carefully constructed cover was shattered. The torn PT shirt flutters in the humid breeze, a reminder of how quickly situations can change. There's one more thing. Thompson's voice drops to barely audible. Harrison has a fail-safe. If he doesn't check in every 12 hours, his network gets alerted. He glances at his watch. His next check-in is in 3 hours. The stakes just escalated dramatically. Sarah's mind races through possibilities. They need Harrison to make that check-in, or his entire network will scatter like roaches when the lights turn on. Sarah's encrypted phone buzzes with an incoming message from Foster. Interrogation room ready. We need Harrison cooperative within 2 hours. The implications are clear. They must convince Harrison to make his scheduled check-in or risk losing months of investigation work. Thompson leads them to a secure conference room in the administration building. The walls are lined with acoustic dampening panels, standard for classified briefings. Sarah notices the subtle signs of recent installation. Foster's team has been preparing for this moment. Before we proceed, Thompson produces a tablet from his desk safe. I need to show you something about tonight's shipment. The screen displays satellite imagery of Baltimore's port, container ships lined up like dominoes. This container, he zooms in on a specific vessel, arrived from Eastern Europe 3 days ago. The manifest lists agricultural equipment. His expression darkens. But thermal imaging shows something very different. Deacon leans forward, studying the data. Those heat signatures, that's not farming equipment. Soviet-era surface-to-air missiles, Sarah states quietly, recognizing the thermal patterns from her time in Afghanistan. At least 40 units, maybe more. The weight of this revelation settles over the room like a shroud. Thompson nods grimly. If these reach domestic terrorists, we're looking at potential attacks on civilian aircraft. Harrison's buyer is arriving tonight, someone with connections we haven't identified yet. Quick question for our military community. What do you think Sarah should prioritize? Stopping the weapons or identifying the entire network? Drop your unit designation in the comments if you've served. Your tactical insights matter. The interrogation room's sterile white walls seem to close in as Harrison sits shackled to the metal table. His uniform, once a symbol of honor, now wrinkled and stained with sweat. Sarah enters with Foster and Thompson. Deacon positions himself by the door. Your check-in is in 90 minutes. Sarah places a phone on the table. Make the call, use the proper codes, and we'll recommend reduced sentencing. Harrison's laugh is bitter. Reduced? From life to what? 40 years? I'll be dead either way. Your daughter, Foster interjects, sliding a photograph across the table. Jennifer, isn't it? Senior at Georgetown, pre-law. Her voice remains professionally neutral. How do you think she'll handle visiting her father in Supermax for the next 3 decades? The mention of his daughter cracks Harrison's composure. His hands clench into fists. Leave her out of this. She's already in it. Sarah leans forward. The cartel knows about her. If you don't cooperate, if this network collapses violently, she lets the implication hang. We can protect her, but only if you help us. For long moments, Harrison stares at the phone. Sarah can see him calculating, weighing options. Finally, his shoulders slump. What do you need? Everything. Thompson's voice carries barely controlled anger. Names, contacts, routes, payments. Start with tonight's buyer. Harrison closes his eyes. When he opens them, defeat has replaced defiance. Viktor Kozlov, former Spetsnaz, now arms dealer for the Bratva. He pauses. He's bringing $2 million in cash, expecting the missiles plus the automatic weapons. Sarah and Foster exchange glances. Russian organized crime involvement escalates this beyond domestic terrorism. How many men will Kozlov bring? Sarah asks. Usually 12 to 15, all former military. Harrison's voice drops. They don't leave witnesses if deals go bad. The pieces start forming a deadly puzzle. Sarah pulls out her tactical tablet, begins sketching assault plans. The warehouse has 4 entrances. Kozlov will expect guards at each. How many of your people will be there? 8 from my network, plus whatever muscle Kozlov brings. Harrison looks at the phone. I need to make the call now, or they'll know something's wrong. Foster nods to Sarah, who slides the phone to Harrison. They've already traced the number. Tap the line. Harrison dials with trembling fingers, waits for the connection. Echo 7 checking in. His voice steadies with practiced ease. Package confirmed for 2100 hours. All positions green. He listens to the response, then adds, understood. Echo 7 out. The call lasts 18 seconds. Harrison pushes the phone back. Done. You have 9 hours. He looks directly at Sarah. Kozlov always has a sniper. Southeast corner of the warehouse roof. That's where your problems will start. Thompson stands. I'm mobilizing my EOD team. Major Mitchell, how many operators do you need? Sarah's mind runs tactical calculations. Warehouse size, enemy force, civilian proximity. 40 minimum. Mix of FBI HRT, ATF tactical, and your EOD specialists. She looks at Deacon. We'll need flashbangs and smoke. This needs to be surgical. Foster's already on her phone, coordinating resources. FBI's hostage rescue team can be here in 4 hours. 20 operators, full tactical loadout. She pauses. Director wants this clean. No civilian casualties. Minimal collateral damage. Understood. Sarah turns to Thompson. Colonel, I need building schematics for Warehouse B7, surrounding area maps, and weather reports for tonight. As Thompson retrieves the requested intelligence, Deacon approaches Sarah. That sniper position Harrison mentioned. I know that spot. His expression is thoughtful. There's a water tower 600 meters southeast. Perfect overwatch. Sarah nods. Counter-sniper positioning will be crucial. You qualified? Army Sniper School, class of 2015. Deacon confirms. I can handle overwatch. The next hours blur into intensive preparation. Teams arrive in unmarked vehicles. Equipment is staged at discrete locations. Communication protocols established. Sarah coordinates from the Tactical Operations Center Thompson has provided, watching as pieces move into position like a lethal chess game. Rodriguez appears at the door, looking confused and concerned. Ma'am? Sergeant? He stumbles over how to address her. Major is fine, Rodriguez. Sarah softens her tone. What do you need? The other recruits are asking questions. About this morning. About where you went. He shifts nervously. What should I tell them? Sarah considers. The recruits deserve some truth. Tell them they witnessed something important. That sometimes the greatest service requires the hardest deceptions, she pauses. And tell them their training continues tomorrow with a new instructor who actually is what they appear to be. Rodriguez nods, starts to leave, then turns back. Major? That thing with the tattoo, the ghost team stuff. His young face shows genuine admiration. That was incredible. You're a real hero. Heroes are the ones who don't come home, Rodriguez. Sarah's voice carries the weight of lost comrades. I'm just a soldier doing her job. 8:30 p.m. arrives with a curtain of darkness. Sarah stands in the tactical staging area, checking her equipment one final time. The familiar weight of tactical vest, the pressure of ceramic plates, the subtle bulk of flash-bang grenades. It feels like coming home after wearing a costume for 3 weeks. Foster approaches in full FBI tactical gear. Drone surveillance shows movement at the warehouse. 3 vehicles already on site. She hands Sarah an earpiece. "You're Tactical 1 for this operation." Sarah inserts the earpiece. Immediately hears the chatter of multiple teams checking in. "All units, this is Tactical 1. Her voice carries calm authority. "Remember, we need at least 1 buyer alive for intelligence. Weapons are secondary to stopping the network." Thompson's voice crackles through. "EOD teams in position. We've identified the container with the missiles, northeast corner of the warehouse." "Copy." Sarah moves to the vehicle that will insert her team. "Deacon, you in position?" "Affirmative." His voice comes through clear. "Water tower secured. I have visual on the sniper position." A pause. "Target acquired. Male, prone position. What looks like a Dragunov rifle." The convoy moves out. 6 black vehicles running dark through Fort Benning's back roads. Sarah rides in the lead vehicle with 4 FBI HRT operators, their faces hidden behind night vision-equipped helmets. The warehouse appears ahead, lights blazing like a beacon in the darkness. Thermal imaging shows 22 individuals inside, Foster reports from the command vehicle. Kozlov's convoy just turned onto the access road. Sarah watches through the window as 3 black SUVs approach the warehouse. They move in perfect formation, security conscious even here. "All teams, hold position," she orders. "Let them get comfortable." The SUVs park. Men emerge carrying obvious weapons. Sarah counts 14, all moving with military precision. Kozlov himself is easy to identify. Tall, scarred, wearing an expensive suit that seems out of place in the Georgia humidity. "They're heading inside," Thompson reports. "Harrison's people are greeting them." Sarah gives them 3 minutes to get deep into the warehouse, away from easy exit routes. "Execute in 60 seconds, she announces. "Deacon, neutralize the sniper on my mark." The countdown seems eternal. Sarah's breathing slows, her world narrowing to the mission. At 15 seconds, she signals her team to ready. At 5 seconds, they begin moving. "Mark," she whispers. Deacon's suppressed rifle coughs once. Through her night vision, Sarah sees the sniper position go still. "Tango down," Deacon confirms. "Breach! Breach! Breach!" Sarah's command unleashes controlled chaos. 4 teams hit 4 entrances simultaneously. Flashbang grenades detonate in sequence, overwhelming light and sound, designed to disorient without permanent damage. Sarah flows through the main entrance with her team, muscle memory from hundreds of operations taking over. The warehouse interior is larger than expected, massive containers creating a maze of corridors. Gunfire erupts immediately. Kozlov's men recovering faster than anticipated. "Contact front!" The operator beside Sarah engages 2 hostiles, precise shots dropping them. Sarah moves right, catches movement in her peripheral vision. A man with an AK-47 swings toward her. She puts 2 rounds center mass before he can fire. "FBI, drop your weapons!" The commands echo from multiple directions. Some suspects comply. Others choose to fight. Sarah pushes forward, searching for Kozlov. Thompson's voice cuts through. "Containers secure!" But there's a problem. They've rigged explosives. Sarah's blood runs cold. If the missiles detonate, the explosion could level half the base. "EOD, priority on that container." She spots Kozlov near the northeast corner. He's dragging a metal briefcase, heading for an emergency exit. "Kozlov's rabbiting!" Sarah breaks into a sprint, vaulting over a wooden crate. The Russian sees her coming. snaps off 3 shots that spark off a metal beam inches from her head. Sarah doesn't slow. She knows hesitation means losing him. Kozlov bursts through the exit door. Sarah follows 2 seconds behind. He's running toward a motorcycle hidden behind a dumpster, the engine already running. Sarah raises her weapon. "Stop, or I'll shoot!" He spins, pistol in hand. Sarah's training takes over. Time dilates as she sees his finger tighten on the trigger. She shoots first. The bullet catches his shoulder, spinning him to the ground. The briefcase flies open, cash scattering in the night breeze. "Clear," Deacon's voice in her ear. All snipers neutralized. Sarah kicks Kozlov's weapon away, zip-ties his hands as he groans in pain. "Viktor Kozlov, you're under arrest for weapons trafficking, conspiracy to commit terrorism, and really poor life choices." Foster's voice crackles through. "Warehouse secure. 17 suspects in custody, 5 wounded, none critical." "What about the explosives?" Sarah asks, hauling Kozlov to his feet. "Disarmed," Thompson sounds relieved. "Remote detonator. They were planning to blow it if the deal went bad." Sarah allows herself a moment of satisfaction, then keys her radio. "All teams, begin evidence collection. This crime scene needs to be perfect." She looks at Kozlov. "Your friends in the Bratva won't be happy about this." Kozlov spits blood, speaks with a thick accent. "You have no idea what you've started. This is bigger than weapons." His eyes glitter with malice. "The network goes all the way to—" A distant rifle shot cuts him off. Kozlov's head snaps back, and he crumples. Sarah drops instantly, scanning for the shooter. "Sniper! Unknown position!" Deacon's voice comes urgently. "Not from my sector. Searching." Several seconds pass. "Got him! Moving west in a vehicle. Too far to engage." Sarah stares at Kozlov's body. Someone wanted him silenced. The briefcase of money seems suddenly insignificant. This operation just revealed a deeper conspiracy. The courtroom at Fort Benning is packed 3 weeks later. Military justice moves swiftly when national security is involved. Sarah sits in the witness gallery, her dress uniform bearing decorations she rarely displays. The Bronze Star Thompson recommended has been approved. She'll receive it after testimony. Harrison stands as the judge enters. His orange jumpsuit, a stark contrast to the uniform he once wore with pride. The prosecution has presented overwhelming evidence. Recordings, financial documents, witness testimony from 17 co-conspirators who chose cooperation over life sentences. "Colonel Marcus Harrison," the judge's voice fills the courtroom, "you have been found guilty on all counts. Conspiracy to traffic weapons, violation of the Arms Export Control Act, conspiracy to provide material support to terrorists." The list continues for a full minute. Harrison's daughter sits in the back row, tears streaming down her face. Sarah feels a pang of sympathy. Jennifer Harrison is a victim too, her life destroyed by her father's choices. "The court sentences you to 45 years in federal prison," the judge continues. "You have disgraced the uniform and betrayed the nation you swore to protect." As they lead Harrison away, he catches Sarah's eye. There's no anger there anymore, just hollow defeat. 36 other officers have been arrested based on evidence from the operation. The network Harrison built over 5 years, dismantled in 3 weeks. Outside the courthouse, Thompson waits in his dress uniform. "Major Mitchell, a word." They walk to a quiet corner of the base, Thompson's expression thoughtful. "The Pentagon's been calling. They want you back in direct action." He pauses. "But I have a different proposition." Sarah raises an eyebrow. "Sir? The Ranger Instructor course needs someone with your experience. Someone who's been in the real fight, who understands what these soldiers will actually face." Thompson's voice carries conviction. You could shape the next generation of special operators. The offer surprises Sarah. After years of deception and violence, the idea of teaching appeals more than she expected. I'd need time to consider. Take all the time you need, Thompson smiles. But know this, every recruit you train, every operator you mentor, multiplies your impact. Ghost 7's legacy could be more than successful missions, he pauses meaningfully. It could be creating hundreds of warriors with your skills and values. 6 months later, Sarah stands before a fresh class at Ranger School. Her instructor tab still new on her uniform. The students don't know her full history. Most never will. But they'll learn from someone who's been where they're going, who's faced the darkness and emerged with honor intact. Rangers, she begins, her voice carrying across the training ground. You'll hear a lot about strength and tactics in this course. But let me tell you something more important. She pauses, meeting their eager eyes. The most dangerous warrior isn't the strongest or fastest. It's the one nobody sees coming. She thinks of those 3 weeks pretending to be weak, of Harrison's network brought down by a supposed struggling recruit. Never underestimate anyone based on appearance. That elderly janitor might be former Delta Force. That small woman at the coffee shop might have more combat experience than your entire platoon combined. Rodriguez, now a corporal, stands in the back as an assistant instructor. He grins, remembering that morning when Sarah's cover was blown. In this course, you'll learn to shoot, fight, and survive, Sarah continues. But most importantly, you'll learn that true strength isn't always visible. Sometimes it's hidden beneath bandages. She unconsciously touches her shoulder, where the Ranger tattoo remains. Sometimes it's disguised as weakness. But when the moment comes, when justice demands action, her voice hardens with conviction. That hidden strength becomes an unstoppable force. As the sun sets over Fort Benning, painting the sky in shades of amber and crimson, Sarah leads her students on their first training run. She maintains a steady pace, not too fast, not too slow. Just right for building warriors who understand that sometimes the greatest victories come from battles nobody knows you're fighting. The weapons trafficking network is dismantled. Harrison serves his time. Kozlov's death remains an open investigation pointing to even larger conspiracies. But here, on this training ground, Sarah has found her new mission. Creating protectors who understand that honor isn't about recognition. It's about doing what's right, even when nobody's watching. Especially when nobody's watching. In her office that night, she opens a locked drawer. Inside, a photo from Afghanistan shows Ghost Team after the Kabul rescue. Their faces are blacked out for security, but she remembers each one. 3 didn't make it home. Their sacrifice weighs on her daily. A knock interrupts her thoughts. Thompson enters carrying 2 cups of coffee. Thought you might need this. First day teaching is always rough. Not rough. Sarah accepts the coffee gratefully. Just different. Seeing their enthusiasm, their innocence. She trails off. They need to know what's really out there, Thompson says quietly. Harrison proved that enemies aren't always foreign. Sometimes the greatest threats wear our own uniform. Sarah nods, then notices an envelope Thompson's carrying. New orders? Not orders. A request. He hands it over. Kozlov's murder led to something. CIA tracked the shooter. He's connected to a military contractor selling secrets to China. They want you to consult. He pauses. Undercover, of course. Sarah sets the envelope aside, unopened. Maybe next time. Right now, these Rangers need an instructor who's fully present. She looks at the training schedule. Tomorrow we're teaching escape and evasion. They need to learn that sometimes the smartest warrior is the one who knows when not to fight. Thompson stands to leave, pauses at the door. You know, Miller, sorry, Mitchell, that morning when your cover was blown? Watching you transform from struggling recruit to tactical commander in seconds? He shakes his head in admiration. In 30 years of service, it was the most impressive thing I've ever witnessed. After he leaves, Sarah returns to planning tomorrow's lessons. Outside, the base settles into nighttime routine. Guards patrol, soldiers sleep. The machinery of America's defense continues its endless cycle. But in Warehouse B7, now empty and scheduled for demolition, scorch marks on the concrete tell a different story. They speak of a night when a supposed weak recruit revealed her true nature, when justice came dressed in tactical gear, when those who betrayed their oath learned that some warriors hide their strength until the moment it matters most. Sarah closes her planning book. Tomorrow, she'll teach young rangers about camouflage and concealment. But the deeper lesson, the one that truly matters, is already written in her story. Never judge by appearances, never underestimate the quiet ones, and never, ever mock someone at boot camp. You never know when they might have ranger wings inked across their shoulder. 3 years pass. Sarah's reputation as the toughest instructor at ranger school becomes legend. One humid morning, a new recruit arrives. Female, late 20s, walking with a slight limp. The other instructors dismiss her as another washout waiting to happen. Sarah watches from her office window as the woman struggles through basic exercises. Something familiar in how she moves, how she observes everything while appearing distracted. During combatives training, an aggressive recruit tries to humiliate her. The woman takes the abuse, stumbles, appears overwhelmed. But Sarah catches it. The micro-movement when she could have countered. The perfect balance maintained while seeming off-balance. That night, Sarah reviews the woman's file. Rebecca Torres, administrative specialist, no combat record. Sarah smiles knowingly. She requests Torres's complete service record through classified channels. The response comes back redacted, accessible only to those with highest clearance. Another ghost, another protector hiding in plain sight. The cycle continues. Warriors teaching warriors, strength concealed until needed, justice waiting in unexpected places.